dun, dun. Good evening and welcome to Sadiva. Let's talk about it, baby. You heard it. Y'all hear my radio voice? You ain't know I could do that, did you? Well, cotton tail, I can. So look, we always start with a quote. So I'm going to start with my quote today, and then I'm going to shout out my sponsors, okay? So remember, work for a cause, not for applause. Live life to express, not to impress. Don't strive to make your presence noticed. Make your absence felt. Baby, I got to drop my phone on that one. You heard it. Woo! That's all right there, right? So look, y'all. Baby, you ain't got to impress nobody. You heard it. So before I go into tonight's Sadiva, let's talk about it. Tonight is going to be a very revealing night for me. It's going to be kind of one of them days, like one of them days when you really don't want to tell stuff, but you got to. So I'm praying that it reaches someone. Because what I'm going to talk about today, I know I'm not the only one that's went through this or ever experienced it, but it's hard for me. So y'all bear with me tonight. But before I go into my show, let me first shout out the Classic Closet. Okay, yes, baby, you already know they dressed me today. I can't get up today and show y'all my dress, okay? I know y'all want to see it, but I'm not. It's got a cold shoulder, but I got to hide it. But the Classic Closet, this is a pretty dress from the Classic Closet. So, Classic Closet, y'all go shop 406 East Broad Street in Dunn, North Carolina. In Dunn, across the street from Dunn's Court. You heard it. The police station and the court together. It's right across the street. So y'all go in and shop the Classic Closet. Okay? So thank you again, Classic Closet, for always letting your girl look fly and things like that. You heard it. So tonight I'm talking about a very sensitive subject. That's for me. And it may ruffle little feathers. I'm not going to say names or nothing, but sometimes your truth ruffles people's feathers. But at the end of the day, it's your truth. It's what you got to get out and what you're going to do that's going to change your life and help your life change. So when I was 35 years old, before I go into my story, let me just give you a backdrop. Okay, Sadiva, let's talk about it. It's for the Sadiva. I got the name from my mom, Sylvia, and my dad, David. So together it's Sadiva. So I do Sadiva, let's talk about it, for those two people so they can have a voice, because they were both recovering alcoholics and my mom a recovering drug addict. So a lot of times when we hear that about parents, we think that the children are going to be that way. Well, your girl broke that generational curse. Can't even drink. Okay. So not an alcoholic. I broke that curse. Thank you, Jesus. So with that being said, when I was growing up as a child, I didn't really have interactions with my dad. I was always told, that maybe he didn't want to claim me or something like that, not knowing the full reason of why I really wasn't around his family. So I will not be using people's names tonight. Some people know about this story that know me. Some people don't. So I will not be answering questions. Okay? Because you're going to have some, but I'm not going to answer them. I'm doing it because it's been on me all day. I've been trying to get out of it. I was like, Lord, no, give me another topic to talk about tonight. And I even called my producer and was like, look, I'm in pain. I don't want to come tonight. Can we do it? And then something said, you're not in enough pain. You're going to drive another place when you leave. So why are you trying to get out of it? No, you got to face that lion head on. So I'm a product of a woman telling a man that I wasn't his child. Not only one man, but two men telling them that I wasn't their child. Okay. So when I was, everybody know your girl is officially 50. I'm half a decade, baby. You heard it. Dun, 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 dun. Your girl is 50. Na, 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 na. But anyway, so, whew, Lord help me. Y'all pray. Those that pray for real, not Prey, but Pray. Pray for your girl. So when you hear things when you're growing up. And so when I was 16 years old, I used to sing in a choir at church. And the guy that played the piano said to me, Katina, I met your dad. And I was like, oh, you did? He was like, yeah, I met your dad. And I was like, oh, where you see him? He told me where he saw him at, and he told me that he fixed his car. And I was like, my daddy don't fix cars. My daddy build houses. He was like, well, you look just like him. And, you know, and I was like, well, what's his name? He told me his name. So when I got home, I asked my mom about it. And she was like, oh, no, he's starting stuff. He just mad because I did not marry him, blah, blah, blah. Won't go into detail because I really don't remember word for word. I just know her story was believable. So I ain't thinking nothing else about it. So now, at age 35, I'm hit with it again. That, oh, you look just like him. I don't understand why you didn't know that was your daddy. So then you have to, me playing investigator, trying to be a detective or something like that. So I ask my mom, but she can't really tell me anything because she don't want to be wrong. Okay? She has been attacked so much in her life, she didn't want to be wrong. So a lot of times when you go looking for the truth, you better get ready for it. Because sometimes when we look for the truth, we can't handle our truth or the truth about your situation. So me thinking I wanted to know. Oh, I want to know. So I went asking questions. And I found out some family secrets that were kept. That my dad might not be my dad at 35. Hearing that from a place of where when I was 18, I connected with my dad. When I first connected with him, I was angry. I was mad. I was like, oh, now you want to connect with me because I made it to college without you. So, And so when I connected with him in college, I was a broke college student. Just thought I'd add that part. And he liked to cook. So he was like, you could come to my house and eat, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, well, I'm going to use them because I'm hungry. So I'm going to just go. And it just ended up being one of the most beautiful relationships that I ever had with a man. My dad did everything that he could do to let me know that he truly loved me and that he was sorry for not being in my life, but he was struggling with an addiction, which was alcohol. So when people struggle with addictions, they can't be the people that you need them to be at that time because they're being whatever they can be for them. And that's not good. So a lot of times we hold stuff. So back to the story. I found out that my dad, that I've been knowing ever since I was 18, may not be my dad. So when I went to ask questions, I found out that the man that they were saying was my dad, he my mama was saying he was my daddy for 2 years when I was 2. Then someone said in my family that I looked like my dad. And she said, well, He probably is because I was messing with him too. But she was so young. Let me say that my mom got pregnant with me when she was 14 years old. She had me at 15. So you think about a 14, 15-year old. Cause see, when I first found out about it, at the time I found out, I was 35. So my daughter was only 15. So I thought about that happening to my daughter. And children are so, they're children. She was a child having a child. So I didn't get upset with her because I'm like, I'm not blaming her for it. I just want to know. Because when you think someone's your dad and then you hear all this other background noise and all of that, you just feel away. So, long story short, I got in touch with him. I won't say how. I'm not, because I'm local and a lot of people know me on Facebook and a lot of people look at this. So I'm not trying to open up the book of worms again because I'm at peace with the decision that I made in that situation. But I will tell you that during that situation, everything I done, I talked to my dad first. I didn't want him to feel away. I didn't want him to feel no kind of way because this is a man that told his family, oh, I had a blood test. That's my daughter. He fought for me knowing that he didn't do that. But he didn't want them in saying nothing about me. He was a man that stood up for me. I remember when I got in an abusive relationship when I was in my early 20s. When it was over, I went to stay with my dad because I was living with the person. And my dad didn't come home for 48 hours. And I'm thinking, how is he going to abandon me during this time? Then I found out that he went to get the guy and he had to go to jail for 48 hours. So this is a man that will fight for me. Didn't want nobody to bother me, and he loved me. So today I wanted to talk about how deep is your love? How deep is your love? Because my dad had deep love for me and vice versa. Okay. So I met with the man that was supposed, that may have been my dad too. And I looked like him. It scared me. And I was like, oh my God, what in the world? You can have twins in the world, okay? You can have twins in the world. Just because you look like somebody don't mean that they are your person. But it was scary. So I said, well, I'm gonna get a blood test and we'll just see. But that's why when you're doing things, you keep people out your business. You think that you're talking to a person and everybody's talking behind you, and some misinformation, not true, falsified. I'm gonna call it falsified. False information got back to my dad, and our relationship started. We started doing hit heads. He got upset. I got upset, and I felt like people were blaming me, and it happened to me. Like I didn't do it. I was the person that it happened to. It wasn't my fault, but I was made feel like it was. Well, got with them, met the family. Everybody wanted to see me. Had a dinner. It was overwhelming. Too much for me. Couldn't hardly handle it. So when I talked to my dad, he was hurt. And it hurt me to know that he was hurt because I didn't know what to do with all this information. I felt like knowing that I would, but then I found out that it was just it was causing problems in not just me and my dad, but with the other man and his family. And it was just like it affected a lot of people. And it just got to be overwhelming to me. So I just said, you know what? I don't care. I don't want to know. My daddy is my daddy. And it just got to a place where I didn't want to talk about it. People were coming up to me and they were saying things and they would say, "Oh, you look just like this." And I knew that. And it was making me feel away. It was making me upset. Like, mind your business. No baby on the end. You heard it. But that's when I think that I really realized that I was in depression. I got really depressed behind it. I didn't know what to think. I didn't know how to feel, because not only was it hurting my dad, but on my mom's side, a lot of people were feeling a way about it too. And it was just a lot. So the man, he got sick, and they wanted me to go to the hospital to see him. And I always consulted my grandma about things, because my grandma has a seeing eye. And when I say a seeing eye, I mean she can tell when things are going to happen, when they're not. If it's a good situation, don't do it, or do it. So I went to her and talked to her about it, and she told me that to leave it alone. Don't do that. So I didn't, which was good. So I kept trying to like set up things to meet him and his family, because I was like, if I got brothers and sisters, I want to know about them. You know, I have children that are growing up. And at the time when it happened, my baby was 1 and my son was 6 and my daughter was 15. So my daughter understood it and remembered it, but my children didn't remember it. So I said all that to say that it's very important that you know who you are. And a lot of times, children that are born into the earth, they don't have a choice of who their parents are. They don't have a choice of what their parents do. That's their parents' choice. So a lot of times you can look at a child and you can blame the person. Well, how you think that's going to make a certain person feel? How do you think the child feels when the child doesn't know? When a daughter don't know who her dad is, for me not to have my dad and then get my dad when I was 18 and then find out he might not be my dad at 35, that's very confusing for a girl, a young woman. But I felt like a little girl. And for years, I didn't talk about it. I let it be. And I didn't want other people to talk to me about it and say things about it, or, call me cuz, or say, I just did not know what to do with the information. So I just prayed about it, and I just said, well, God help me. And I didn't even pray long about it. I just decided my dad wants me. He loves me. I didn't get the same response. So it bothered me because I felt unwanted again. And that's how I felt growing up, because both of my parents was alcoholics. I wasn't around my dad's family. I didn't grow up with them. And then I had my mom, and my mom was the way she was. But so I didn't know where I felt fit in the world. And then when you find out that, well, guess what? In the back of your mind, you wondering, is he really my dad? And then you see somebody and you see yourself, and then you be like, wait. And then that person doesn't want anything to do with it. They don't know what to do either. So I don't really want to speak on that. I'm just speaking on me and my heart and what happened to me. And I just came to a conclusion where my daddy loves me, and he loves me, and I love him, and he's all I know, and he's going to always be my dad. So I thought that part of my life was over with. I lost my dad in 2018, and I ain't even thought about finding out, or, because I know the question is, you don't want to get a blood test. You don't want to know. I've come to this. I'm going to love who loves me. I'm not begging anybody to love me. I'm not begging to be somewhere that I'm not wanted, because all my life I felt like I wasn't. Now I'm in a place in my life where I know I'm wanted. And if nobody don't want me, God does. You heard it. And I love who God made. I was very unsure about who I was and why was this happening to me and why did I have to go through this. And then here's the thing. Remember, I told you earlier in, my children were little. Well, this just came back to me again. And my children started asking me questions, my boys. And I had to talk to them and tell them the whole situation about what happened, why it happened, what it was, and all that. Because here's the thing. You have to be careful what you say to children, because you don't know how they're going to react, and they've went through so much loss. My children have been through a lot of loss. They lost my dad first, then my mom, then their dad got sick, but he's okay now, and then they lost their grandma. So the only grandparent they have living now is my 87-year-old grandma. And I think she 87. If she not, well, 86, 87, one of them. But you have to be careful how, if a child asks a question because they want to know something and you know the answer, always tell them to ask their parent. Don't try to tell them something that you don't really know for yourself, because that can cause problems. And it did. So I had to talk about that story to my children and tell them my reasons of why and all of that. And I feel like that part was taken away from me, because, not saying that they would never find out, but I just feel like I should have been the one to tell them when they asked the question. And I say, when children ask questions that serious as that, always, if they got living parents, tell them to ask their parent. Don't tell them, because you don't know what you're doing. You don't know what kind of mess you're opening up. You don't know. So it's very important that you keep your mouth closed, baby. Don't tell it, because you just don't know what type of feelings, actions it's going to bring. I'm just glad that I have a relationship with my children, that I can talk to them about anything, especially my boys. My boys will open up and say anything to me, and I keep that open so they can always feel like they can talk to me. But you don't know that. So I always say, everything you do is always tied to your mental health and the things you open up. So if I wasn't ready to tell that to them, and even though they may seen things and maybe had questions, always tell them to ask their parents. It's just not a good feeling for you to have to talk about a part of your life that you wasn't ready to talk about. Because it brings back hurt. It brings back memories. It brings back disappointment, confusion. It brings back things of, oh, I wasn't loved. And let me just say before I go on, his family was very nice to me, and they were very nice to my children. I just wish they would have let me tell my children. That's my only thing. I just wanted to talk about this and bring awareness to it and to hit it straight up, because you don't know how people feel. And you don't know how children are going to react to news like that. Like, that's not that's not little news. That's big news, especially to children that have lost something, to get their hopes up for nothing. So I just want to say that I have no hard feelings against anyone. Um, I just wasn't ready for it. And a lot of times in life, those are things we're not ready for. But I did tell them the truth. Because the truth, it will set you free. A lot of times, the truth, you may not be ready for it. You understand? And that truth may knock you off your feet. So I just wasn't ready to open it up again because it knocked me off my feet. I didn't want to be knocked back off my feet again. You heard it. But it happened for a reason. And I'm just glad that my children were shown love even in the midst of that. And to say I love my family, my dad's family, my uncles that are still here, my cousins, my first cousins that are aunts and uncles, where the aunts that's still here, I love them. And I love all of my cousins. Do they get on my nerves? Do we have disagreements? Yes, we do. But at the end of the day, that's what family does. We stick together. We love one another. So I say thank you for loving my sons and showing kindness to my sons. I appreciate that. I really do, because it could have been another way. I just wish that, I don't know what I wished. I say I wish I would have told them, but I don't even, if I be honest with myself, I don't think I would have. Because I've basically put it at the back of my head and was like, you know what? It is what it is, and I'm not messing with that again. And I don't know if that's good or bad, but I know that with Sadiva, let's talk about it. It's how things affect your mental health. And I can say that it makes me unsure, but what made me feel better was my children understanding where I was coming from and my point of view. And that means the world to me. So if you're wondering, they're cool. They're good with it. They all right. I'm the person that feels some type of way about everything, but I just want everybody that may see this and understand or know who I'm talking about to know that that was 15 years ago, and it kind of left me speechless a little bit or something like that. But I didn't know how to handle it. It was overwhelming. I should have sat my little tail down and started trying to do investigations and all this kind of stuff. But sometimes you want to know a truth and then you're not ready for it. And I would say at that time, I wasn't ready for it. And to be honest with you, I don't even know if I'm ready now. But that would be my decision. I hate the microphone. Mind your business. That would be my decision and my time. So I'll say this. If you are, or if you have went through what I'm going through and you have questions in the back of your mind, pray, fast, talk to somebody that you truly, 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 truly trust, and ask their opinion first before you move. Because it will and it can affect your mental person. And I will say it affected mine, and I was depressed. So I'll say to you tonight, take care of your mental person. And I'm at a place in my life where I want peace. You heard it. I want peace, baby. I don't want all that extra stuff because I've been through too much in my life where I got to keep fighting. Sometimes you get tired. The Lord said he'll fight your battles, baby. So I'm letting God fight my battles. And I'm dealing with myself. And I'm like, if it does not bring me peace, I'm not dealing with it. If it's not a peaceful place, your girl ain't messing with it. You heard it. So with that being said, before we go, I always have to tell you a quote. I always have a quote that I want to talk about. And tonight, my quote is peace. And peace. It does not mean to be in a place where there is no noise, trouble, or hard work. It means to be in the midst of those things and still be calm in your heart. You heard it. So, in the midst of my peace, I want to be calm in my heart. I don't want my heart to be troubled, and I don't want it to be afraid. You heard it. So, that's why I choose peace. Not saying that I'm not going to go through obstacles in life and all of that, but I choose what I want to go through and what I don't want to go through. You understand? The mind frame, the mindset of how I am when I go through it. So I say to you tonight, thank you for listening to me. Thank you for praying for me. Thank you for supporting Sadiva Let's Talk About It. I really appreciate it. And I say, pray for me. You understand? Don't talk about it. Pray about it. Because that's what I need. Thank God that my situation ended up good. Because it could have ended up bad. You understand? So thank God that everything worked out for my good. And I'll say, thank you for watching Sadiva Let's Talk About It. I am your host, Katina McNeil. Have a blessed and beautiful night. I love you. Sadiva Let's Talk About It was recorded live at BK Studios. Produced by Another B Woods Production. And beats is by 99. Thank you for your time.